Hey y'all, what's up? Okay, so your girl just became an affiliate for Kiara LASHAE, teamlashae.com. Check down below in the description box where you can get waist trainers, booty bands, this cute little lavender yoga fit that I had got. Okay, it was real cute. I've been working out in it, y'all. I'm getting my life to Kiara LASHAE, but I'm also getting my life to this ISOT. Y'all can play around if y'all want to, but it has definitely helped me see results in my workout. Definitely dropped some water weight. Definitely been cleaning out my colon and such. Okay, get your colon clean. All right, y'all. Links to everything down below. Team LASHAE, TLCT. Get that ISO T in your life, okay? Oh, and also, don't forget about Omiage. Get you some. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and I am back for another Greenleaf review, y'all. Every episode of Greenleaf I look forward to reviewing, okay? This show is so damn good. I'm upset that they canceled it. It's just so good. But I understand. Sometimes you gotta leave out on the high end. I just hope they don't short us on the season. Like, if this is gonna be the last season, I need y'all to go hard. I need for y'all to give us all of the storyline. I need y'all to give us everything. Don't cut no corners because it's the end. Please give us what we deserve, because we've been watching this show for 5 seasons and we deserve for y'all to end this accurately and with creativity and y'all audience in mind, and not ending it on a let's cut costs because it's the end anyway vibe. Okay, but anyway, so the episode starts off with Grace and Noah talking to AJ's doctor about what's going to happen now that he's being released from the hospital. He can either go into a inpatient program or he can go home with Grace and or Noah, okay, however that will work out, but it's really up to him. And Grace is trying to argue with the doctor about whether he should come home or not, and she's like, look, this is not an argument, I'm just giving you what the situation is, okay? It's totally up to him what he decides to do, and it's obvious that it's very hard for Grace to relinquish control in this whole situation, but I understand she dropped the ball in this young man's life when she gave him up, and knowing now that he would have had a much better life had she kept him, because her family wouldn't have shunned her, at least not shunned her for a long time. I think they would have been there for her eventually. You know what I'm saying? It seems like no matter what the kids do, the Greenleafs never kick their kids out. Their kids decide to leave, but they don't kick their kids out. So now, recognizing that, I think there's a lot of guilt that Grace is dealing with, and therefore she tries to overhelp and overdo now. But the realization is the time for that has passed. He's an adult, and now you have to help him from a little bit further away than you would have if you had been there for him throughout his life. It's unfortunate, but it's what it is. So back at the house, Jacob has finally sat down with May and James and told them about what's going on with Carissa and this Will and Basie and the new sister Tara, and as Roxanne calls her, wicked woman Rochelle, and they daddy Daryl James, and all of this stuff, okay? And James is like, what did I do? What did I actually do to make you feel like I was capable of murder? And Jacob is like, no, daddy, I don't think that you're capable of murder. Then why would you keep this from me? Jacob is like, well, I was trying to protect you. I was trying to figure out what was going on before I came and stressed you out about it. I saw how you responded to everything that happened with Uncle Mac. James says, and now you put a target on my back. Jacob says that Tara is not like the rest of them skanks, okay? She's not like Basie. He was thinking that when he went and talked to Tara, Tara would be like, yeah, Basie's always been crazy. I'm like, if 2 out of the 3 siblings feel a certain way about their father's death, you can pretty much guess the third sibling, even if they may not believe it all the way, is not going to completely go against or invalidate their sibling, especially not in this situation. So I'm looking at James and Jacob throughout this entire episode like, the fact that y'all think that these people are not as bad as they have shown you to be is just ridiculous and stupid. And it shows why, as the men of this family, James and Jacob, y'all should not be the only brain trust around here, okay? And May points out that Jacob has made Tara look like some saint, that's down there with the homeless and the downtrodden and all of that. Jacob says, Mama, I did not say anything to her about the will. Because May thinks that this girl is going to try to steal the house or take the house from them. And I think she will. And May is like, you may not have told her about it, but you gave them enough, okay, to plant the seed. And that's what you've done. So now we have to deal with this because you didn't come to us first. May asks what Aaron thinks about this will situation. And Jacob says that Aaron is coming over later in the day to talk to him about it. May says, well, I want your father there because I don't think it's possible for you to do the right thing, son. I don't think you know how. And that wife of yours, that wife with her bony little wriggly hands, set this whole Rube Goldenberg thing into motion. And where is she? Lying in that layer up there that we pay for? He says she has a meeting with Dante later on about excellence. And y'all know that's Carissa's school. And she was like always talking about, you know, how we should be there for other black people. But the black people that she lives with, that supports her, this is what she does to us. Connives against us like David Duke in the hair rap. I said not David Duke in the hair rap, lady. Okay? Y'all make me lean out the frame on you. She says, son, I love you, but I can't look at you right now. Get out of my face. Then May turns around to ask James, are we still going to Calvary on Sunday? And he was like, what? She was like, Calvary, James, we were just talking about it. I'm like, to be fair, there have been a lot of things that have happened probably since y'all talked about going to Calvary. But he says, no, I'm not going. We need to have church here at the house. But no, I'm not going back to Calvary. Charity is at work with Judy and Phil. And they're talking about, you know, the service that they're going to have on Sunday, which is the last service in Calvary's current church. Judy wants to play a video about the merger between Calvary and Hope and Harmony, and Charity wants to showcase this PowerPoint about the history of Calvary instead, okay? And Judy and Phil don't agree with that. They feel like there's no need to revisit the past, and Charity feels like there are 4,000 people in this church that have been here since it was Calvary, and I think an ode to the past would be, you know, a respectful way to transition from Calvary to Hope and Harmony. But Judy is not trying to hear it, okay? Judy says, what are we trying to remember? Your father shooting somebody in this church? The FBI running up and through here? Or what about your Uncle Mac who was touching young girls' private parts? Probably happened right here where we stand. Who wants to remember it? Now, as they're having this conversation, Grace walks up and, you know, she kind of stays back so she can hear what's going on. And Charity says that she's the key to keeping this church open, okay? They can't keep this church open moving into a gym with all these white people coming without a Greenleaf at the helm. Judy says, you're not the key. I see you more as a necessary evil. And Charity says, I see you as a rusty old antique with a slot machine in the back that goes plink. And what he's doing with you, God only knows. Basically calling you a whore that, you know, puts out money. You stick something in the slot and money comes out. That's basically, you know, what Charity is saying about Judy. Phil interjects and says that the deacons wanted a fresh start as a part of this, you know, whole merger situation. Judy says the song will be played under a video of the new church, and that's it. The end. When Judy walks out, Charity tries to convince Phil that, you know, this is the way to do it, her way, you know, just saying a goodbye to the old church. And he's like, no, we're going to handle it Judy's way. And here comes Grace walking up. And she's like, did you hear all of that? And Grace was like, let's go talk in your office. So they go in Charity's office. And Grace asks about Phil's parents. Apparently, she and Darius went digging. And they found that Phil's mom's name was on a lot of the paperwork with Edinburgh Lending, okay? Charity says that Phil's mom died, and she asked about the father because they can't seem to find him anywhere. And she was like, well, that's because he was a Black Panther and he had to change his name. But Grace explains that they have found a way to maybe get Hope and Harmony out of Calvary before Tuesday. Charity says, I don't know, Grace. I finally become assistant pastor here, and that's more than Daddy ever gave me. I said, you live at home with your father. Your father is the person that ran a church your whole life so that you can have enough money to live the way that you do. And you sit up here and say that Hope and Harmony has given you more than your daddy because they gave you a little raggedy ass position that they don't really allow you to fulfill fully? Seriously, Charity? Seriously? We're still at this point? Like, Grace is like, I heard the way them people was talking to you. Do you really respect Phil? I know you love him, but do you respect him? Of course, Charity doesn't respect him. Grace says, well, that's going to be you in 10 years. Hell, 10 months today if you continue to let them do you how I just heard them do you in here today. So Charity gives Grace the information she needs about Phil's daddy. Says that his name is Yusuf Shabazz and he lives here in New Orleans in the French Quarter. And the only reason that she knows that is because Phil, doesn't like jazz music. He's against it. And I'm just like, child, Phil need to take whatever that is in his booty out, okay? Because it's not healthy. All right, y'all, moving along. So May goes to talk to Carissa. Okay, she is tired of Carissa and she wants Carissa out of their house. How dare you blackmail this family while trying to continue to live off of us? You gotta go. Okay, and she asked Carissa, what the hell is going on between you and Jacob? And Carissa is like, that's between me and Jacob, May. And she was like, okay, well, you can tell Jacob why I kicked you out between the two of y'all. You can tell him that in secret, okay? And she's like, I cheated, May. And y'all know May cheated on James back in the day. And that's, how she had Grace. Grace is not James' biological child, okay? So this is a story that May knows all too well. So she sits down and begins to listen to Carissa. He wouldn't forgive me. After all of these years, after all of the women he done cheated on me with, she finally named them. She said after Alexa, Tasha, and Melise. And May says, not my Melise. She was like, yeah, girl, in the laundry room. No. She was like, yeah, that's what I went through with your son. And now he won't forgive me. I don't even want the divorce. I was using the will as a way to make him relent, but he won't. So if you can talk to him and get him to forgive me and move on, then I'll let this whole will thing go. But if he want to, play hardball, then game on. Meanwhile, Aaron is downstairs talking to James and Jacob, and he tells them that their version of the will stands at the end of the day. But if they have to argue this in court with, Basie Skankson and all of the Skankses and stuff, then this might be held in a court of public opinion. It's not about facts. Everybody's dead. It's about perception. And right now, we're trying to get a new Greenleaf church off the ground. We don't have time for, these types of issues and optics. May comes in just as they're finishing up this conversation. And she wants to talk to Jacob alone about what she just talked to Carissa about. She asked James what he's going to do about Tara, and he says he's going to go and talk to her. It can't be as bad as, when he talked Basie Skanks out of shooting him. And she was like, famous last words, okay? Like, famous last words, holla at me when you get back. But I totally understand why May feels the way she does. May is nervous. May is scared. May does not believe that the men in her life are going to do the job correctly, because history has showed us that when you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself. So as Jacob is leaving to go and talk to May, he turns to Aaron and says, aren't you glad you aren't related? And he says, I'm happy to be of service. And the way May looked at him, it was like, wow. Don't you dare, because we all know that Aaron is actually related because he is Grace's brother biologically, and Jacob still doesn't know this. I'm like, when are y'all gonna tell everybody about this shit? I didn't even realize. I forgot they didn't know. It's like everybody knows at this point. Y'all might as well tell the last little innocent stupid children y'all got about what's really going on around here. So May and Jacob get upstairs, and May starts throwing Bible verses about forgiving so God can forgive you at Jacob's neck, okay? May says, I don't take any pleasure in finding that my son is to blame for a problem that I would happily place at the foot of his wife. Okay, like she's saying, I would happily blame your wife for this, but I cannot. How dare you put that woman through everything you've put her through and decide that you're not going to forgive her? How dare you? The day you decided to do the wrong thing and cheating on your wife, you wrote us a ticket to the poorhouse. And I was like, you ain't never lied. A lot of the reason why Carissa is even able to do this is because Jacob wasn't doing the right thing. If you didn't want to be with Carissa, then you should have divorced Carissa. You should have broke up with Carissa. I feel like the only reason why he's leaving Carissa now is because Carissa actually cheated. This isn't about his inability to forgive her. This is about he don't want to be with her no more. He wants to go and try to work it out with the skanks. He starts to talk to her about, do you know what she did, mama? And May says, I don't care if she had sex with the man that broke the bank in Monte Cristo. Go and forgive that woman and move past this, boy. Okay, I don't give a damn what she did. And he was like, mama, you don't understand because you would never do anything like this. She was like, how do you know, Jacob? How do you know? You know what? This is not even about Carissa. This is about what you think about women, and in return, what you think about me. Okay? And I was like, that's a word right there, because how men treat their wives is usually a reflection of how they feel about women as a whole, which is how they feel about their mother. And I feel like he chose a woman that was like his mother. Conniving is all hell. Grace is in her room on the phone with Yusuf Shabazz. He answers the phone, and when she announces herself as, a preacher, a former preacher, he says, that's strike one. What else you got? She asked about his, deceased ex-wife. That's the second strike. What else she asking about? Then she asked about his son, Phil. That was the third strike. He hangs up the phone. That means in order to talk to me, you're going to have to come down here to New Orleans to talk to me. You ain't going to be able to get this info over the phone, because I don't trust phones. Like, I wouldn't either. Charity sees Connie in the hallway and tries to talk to her about this PowerPoint that she wants to present at the beginning of church on Sunday. And Connie is like, well, I'm going to have to disagree too. I can't think of anything worse. I'm like, really, Connie? You can't think of anything worse? Not even that tight ass wig you got on? You can't think of anything worse, Connie? Later on, I'm guessing Connie said something to Judy and Phil, because Judy comes running into Charity's office to fire her. She's mad she talked to Connie and went over her head. Even though Connie didn't agree with Charity, just the fact that she did that means that she's fired. And Charity was like, you can't fire me. She says, why? The only person that has more power than me in this building right now is God. Okay, so you're fired. And she has such this happy look, and she's so gleeful that she got to fire Charity. I'm just like, yeah, and you're gonna go home and that man's still not gonna fuck you. Charity goes to Phil, asking him, what is wrong with you, Negro? Is there anything that she can do that you won't just go along with? Like, she's, exhausted and infuriated with the way he just rolls over. Like, not a man at all. Not a man at all. He says what Charity did was unproductive, and they can't run this church having to double back every time they have a conversation with her. They need to make sure that she's madly and truly and deeply on board. And she was like, madly, truly, and deeply? He was like, yeah, that's Judy's favorite movie. And she was like, okay, all right. She says, I have a favorite movie too, and I'm writing, starring, and directing in it, and it's called You Can't Fire Me, Bitch, I Quit. I was like, ha. And she turns around to walk away, and he was like, I talked to her about it, and she won't push it, meaning that she can't really fire Charity. She wants to fire Charity, but she can't really fire Charity. And Phil was like, you can't really fire her. So if she, doesn't leave, you can't really make her leave, I guess, is what the conversation was. So he says, he talked to Judy. She won't press. Charity says, so why don't you press your face into those little ass titties of hers and see if you can get anything like what you couldn't get enough of just a few weeks ago? I said, you better serve it to him in that tight ass dress. She's about to walk away. Then she turns around and, against her better judgment, says, if this church makes it past Tuesday, and it won't, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. Me too. TimesUp.com, bitch. And I was just like, oh, Charity in the one-liners this episode, y'all. She's coming with it. She says, I wish you were the man that I thought you were. I'm like, child, we knew he wasn't that man from the very beginning. We don't know what the hell you was looking at. Later on, Phil gets home with Judy, and she's massaging his shoulders, and he's saying how he's worried about what Charity said about Tuesday. He's thinking that something is in motion. But Judy is like, oh, she's just, she's just talking because she's upset. And she gets down on her knees trying to, get that man a little head. And he was like, no, thank you. No. And she was like, come on, when are you going to let me? I mean, let us. Is it because I'm still married? I'm never going back to Ken. It's like, bitch, it ain't got nothing to do with you being married or wanting to go back to Ken. This is because that man wants Charity. Okay, but he too brainwashed and, messed up in the head to make the right decision for what he actually wants. You know what I mean? He don't really want to be with you, Judy. Like, what did you think was happening when you had your daddy blackmail or basically force this man into being in a relationship with you so that he can have this minuscule amount of power in his church? Like, child, please. That man said no. And she was so mad, she got up and she walked away. I was like, I guess Charity had the last laugh anyway, huh? So y'all, James goes down to the mission where Tara works. The mission is doubling as a crack house and a host stroll. I was like, child, what kind of shit going on outside of this place? Okay, James tells Tara about the will and that he didn't call her father down to the church that night of the fire. That was not him, it was Mac. And she was like, why would Mac do something like that? I'm like, what do you mean, why would Mac do something like that? Bitch, I don't know. Why would Mac do half of the stuff he did? You asking for reasoning, from somebody that didn't even know about, the molestation stuff. Like, James didn't even know about that stuff for real, for real. Like, what are you supposed to tell you, Tara? Either way, he wants to know if there's a way that they can get past this. He's really trying to come from a place of the Lord. He sees that she walks in Christianity. He looks around and it's poor. So if you hear, it must be because you of the Lord to deal with this type of repugnant shit going on. Okay? And he says, there's anything we can do. And she looks up at him and I'm like, child. When he left, he was happy. He went and got some barbecue. He thought that he'd done something. He said they prayed together. The Lord came down and touched them both. They cried. I was just like, oh, James, you gonna stop letting these women trick you. You stay letting these skanks women trick you. She tried to act like she don't care about the money, but that bitch care about the money. We gonna see. So y'all, Noah and AJ show up to the house so that he can get the stuff that he left at, Grace's house. And she gives Noah the card for a doctor so that he can get on medication. And he hears them. So he turns around. He said, this is why I didn't want to tell you. I told you I didn't want to talk about it. So just shut up about it. And I really wanted Noah to be like, say, bruh, I understand you upset. Don't talk to her like that. We're just trying to help. But see, Noah doesn't know how to put forth a united front. I know he might secretly still be upset that she, hid the baby from him and all of that. But I feel like everybody is always screaming to Grace about how she needs to be a united front. And I don't see Noah doing that much to give that same energy either. He actually works on my nerves with his dumb ass. He hasn't even thought about, what doctor that they need to go to. It's just obvious that AJ really could have done better off staying with Grace, but he don't want nobody trying to force him to do shit, and he notices that Noah isn't going to put up much of an argument because he's a pushover man as well. But he says he will call the doctor. So Grace goes for a walk, and James is just coming back from barbecue and seeing Tara, and he says, oh, get that thought out of your head right now. She was like, Daddy, you don't even know what I'm thinking. And he was like, yes, I do. You're thinking that your son doesn't love you because he wants to go with Noah. You know what I mean? He don't want to stay here. So you think that he doesn't love you and all of that type of shit, And basically he just told her to give God some room to work. So Jacob goes in to talk to Carissa. And Carissa is very open to this conversation. She's like, you got anything to say to me? And see, when women are asking for the apology, that lets you know like where their heart really is. She didn't want to leave. She tells him, she's like, Jacob, just say you're sorry. Say that you're sorry for leaving me so lonely in this marriage that I had to defile myself with another man just to feel something. Not even feel good, but just to feel something. Say you're sorry. And he doesn't say anything. And she says, okay, I'm going to let the will go. Because I think that May believes me and May knows that this isn't all my fault. And I think she'll make you do the right thing. So I'll let it go. But this is over. And he's like, I know. He can't even look her in her eye. He's such a piece of shit. He's such a piece of shit. And see, these are the moments that make me feel like, I know y'all think that Carissa has always been out for the money, but I feel like that moment right there was an example of how I feel like she did love him at one point. She wanted to be with him at one point. Nobody wants to be with somebody that can't provide for them, that can't bring something to the table. So I think that us getting mad at Carissa for wanting to be a part of a rich family is just foolishness. Who wouldn't want to be a part of a rich family? But I think that Jacob is too fine and good looking and all of that for everybody to assume that that was the leading factor at the beginning of their relationship. I don't think so. I think at some point Carissa loved Jacob and Jacob abused that love until she turned into this bitter old bitch. And that's just what it is. So then we see Sophia and Zora trying to get AJ to stay, Cousin, you ain't going nowhere, and pushing him on the bed and all of this shit. And he's like, thank you. He's always having these moments where it looks like he's on the cusp of crying. Grace comes in and asks to talk to him. And you could tell she was about to say something profound but decided against it. She said, do you have everything you need? And he's like, yeah. And she was like, and you're going to go see that doctor? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to go see the doctor. And she was like, okay. And like you could see, him sitting there, her trying not to cry, whatever it is she's trying not to say, in the spaces, okay? Like that one. Shout out to Living Single. Okay? But she turns to him and she says, you know, you can always come back, right? And he's like, I know. Thank you. And she says, you're welcome. You know, kind of bumping him. And you can tell he was about to cry. So he gets up, you know, abruptly. And she's sitting there. And when he walks off, he kind of comes back and he kisses her on the head and puts his arm around her. And then he walks away. And she just sits there. And then the tears come running down her face. I was like, ooh, that's some good acting right there, boy. That's some damn good acting. So, y'all, we see dinner is about to start for the family. And May and Jacob are sitting down at the table first. And he explains that it's not even about forgiving Carissa. He just don't want to be with her no more. And the mama is like, okay, well, your daddy said he fixed the situation with Tara Skanks. So hopefully everything is okay. But she doesn't really trust that. In the back of her mind, she feel like the situation is not over. You hear me, bitch? You better believe this ain't over. May tells him to look at Grace and AJ as an example. Don't ever let Carissa take that boy too far away from you. Just talking about his son. Don't let her, you know, take your son away from you. Look at the way that boy done turned out. Be there for your son, Jacob. He was like, I feel you, Mom. I feel you, Mom. Like, yeah, I know you do. So everyone gradually comes downstairs and sits at the table. And James says that, you know what, we're not going to go to Calvary Sunday. Let me get in the voice. We're not going to go to Calvary Sunday, but we're going to have church right here. And I'm talking tonight because your mother is going to preach in the morning and every other Sunday after. And I just wanted to let everybody know. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. His phone's ringing. He gets up to see what's going on. It's Tara. And everybody's like, who's Tara? Who's Tara? Especially Carissa. And May is like, you know what? Shut up. Don't ask us about nothing because it's all your fault. Like, just be quiet. And so he turns around and she's like, James, just tell us what's going on. We're going to have to live with it anyway. Just tell us what's going on, James. And he says, Tara Skanks wants to talk immediately. I'm like, child, Tara Skanks and them going to take this house from these people. Lord, my nerves so bad. I can't wait till next week. I love Greenleaf. I'm so upset this the last season. Anyway, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Love y'all. See y'all in the next one.